right, we are back with the third episode of the Move Worthy podcast with Jenny
and Lauren.
And today we're going to talk about changes in the market. How has the market changed since 2020, since COVID? What are the things contributing to the changes, and what are we seeing today versus what we saw or encountered in 2020, which was crazy.
We thought it was the end of the world.
I thought we were going to shut down real estate forever. And then all of a sudden, we were even setting up inspections, no one would show up except the inspector.
Yeah.
And it was super slow. And all of a sudden, things started rolling in.
Well, interest rates dropped.
Significantly. Lower than we've ever seen, ever.
In some cases, lower than 2%.
I know. That made me sick to see that. We refinanced at 3. And then when people said, oh, man, we held out.
1.9.
I'm like, what?
Crazy. Which that definitely drove the market in a completely different direction.
Oh, yeah. I think someone said at a meeting I went to is we stole buyers from the future. People who had no intentions of buying. Just sure, I'll sell my house and get $500,000, and I'll go buy the other $500,000 house for 1.9.
Yeah.
1.9% interest. Geez.
And then some of the things that the interest rates impacted, not only did the number of sales happen, but people were paying over what these houses were worth. They were doing cash deals, which was crazy to me.
Where did all the cash come from?
Where did all the cash come from? They were waiving inspections. I mean, it was...
Which
is highly not recommended. And
appraisal gaps.
Yes.
Hey, I'll pay over the appraised value if it's within $20,000.
Yep.
We saw people do it.
Oh, absolutely.
And then, of course, when they agreed to it, not really thinking that it would happen, but it happened multiple times.
I had a client that put an offer in on a property it was a multiple offer situation. And the agent came back to us and was like, look, it's multiple offers. You have till this time and this day to write a new offer. They went in $50,000, or maybe it was $60,000 on that one. I think it was $60,000 over asking, waived appraisal, waived inspection, and we were rejected.
Oh my God.
The offer that beat us out was $100,000 over asking. Waived appraisal.
Waived appraisal, waived inspection.
Yeah, because they were paying cash for the difference.
Good Lord.
They were only financing, I mean, it was like a $300,000 house, but they were only financing $100,000. So at that point, the appraisal didn't matter. It was crazy.
What does that do for the values today?
I know.
I mean, we've seen a fairly significant decrease in prices today. I mean, there's this one property that I always mention or talk about, and I won't go too far into detail. I have it on my TikTok. But they paid way overpriced, and today those houses are at least going for $20,000 less.
Oh, absolutely. If not more.
I think and I think so many people might be
upside down.
Yeah.
And actually, that's something that I use when I talk to buyers that are concerned about buying in this market today, with the interest rates being 6.1, 6.5, which they've kind of gotten down to at this point. I tell them, I'm like, which would you rather have? Would you rather have a house that you paid too much for and be upside down on, or a house that you have a 6.5% interest rate on, that if the interest rate did drop, you could refi? You can't ever take back what you paid for that house.
You paid for the house. It's always going to be.
It's always going to be.
That inflated number.
Yes, for sure.
I think, and look, my rule of thumb, or my husband's rule of thumb, has always been if it drops, a certain amount, even 1 whole percent could make a difference.
Oh, absolutely.
Just depending, versus your what you need. Do you need to take cash out, or what do you want to refi for, just to get that lower monthly note?
No.
And I think we will see them kind of come back down. When I bought my house, it was 4.875. That was normal.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not really that much higher than that, but I think the interest rates going up was one hurdle.
Yep, for sure.
And then Ida. So we're in South Louisiana, Luling, and Ida destroyed our parish and others. And ever since Ida, the insurance rates increased. So it's like we could kind of handle an increase in interest, but we are struggling handling both interest and insurance.
Absolutely. It's like we went from COVID to just a very ghost town market. Then we had the low interest rates where it was insane market.
Yes.
Then everything starts to kind of settle down and
we're back to kind of like a normal.
We're back to
like
a normal
2019 market.
Then we have Ida, which was complete destruction on the south coast. We're in Southeast Louisiana, so we were impacted tremendously hard. Between us and Florida, I think those were the hardest areas. So then you have insurance companies pulling out of these states left and right, dropping customers, leaving people in a position where some of them, not only did they pay $100,000 more for their house, but now they have a $10,000 homeowner's insurance premium because their mortgage is so high.
Yes.
It's crazy. So now we're at the point where the market got kind of stable, interest rates went up, the market kind of dropped a little with that, and it's kind of still there, lingering. It seems like it's moving a little bit now that interest rates have gotten a little better, but the insurance for our area is definitely been a harder hit than the interest.
Yeah.
If our buyers could buy at 6.5% or 7%, but not have a $8,000 to $10,000 homeowners insurance policy and a $4,000 to $5,000 flood insurance policy, then they'd probably be okay. But when you have that factor in our area, it's not okay.
It's not okay.
I mean, you're talking $1,000 extra a month just in interest, flood insurance, homeowners insurance, and taxes.
Yes.
Aside from your principal.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. I have a listing right now, and it's roughly a $300,000 house. This most recent couple that was interested, I think, got a quote for $45,000 to $5,000 a year for their homeowners only. That's an extra, what we figure,
$4 something a month.
$4 something a month on top of everything else. I mean, people already, a lot of times, buyers already are possibly at the max, at the top of their budget.
Right.
You throw this in, it drops their buying power down significantly. And I mean, this particular one, it wasn't my client, but they were like, we're just going to hold off. And then I think interest rates jumped a little bit in the last week or two. Yeah. So they're like, we're going to hold off. And I think that's why the market has slowed down so much. People are just waiting and watching. And then I think those buyers from 23 that were like, oh yeah, we'll wait for the interest rates to drop, and they never did. They're finally like, all right, we really have to move.
We have to move.
I need a bigger house.
Yeah, we have to do this.
Yeah, have a job transfer, bigger house, other factors, the reasons why people sell. They just like, I can't wait any longer. Yeah. And we've seen that, and I think that has been our 2024 clients, probably. Yeah. And then along with some cash buyers in there, which always makes it easier, but still,
to get over those hurdles.
Yeah. Even the cash buyers are still
hurdling that. They're still having to have insurance. Yes.
Yeah. So even that has been a big change. What do you think? I guess all of this too, coupled with some of the new buyer agency rules, the written agreements, it's been a tougher market. We've seen some agents leave. I mean, I think NAR is reporting like a 2% decrease.
Just since last year.
I mean, in our office, personally, we've had some agents, and, not full-time. They might have had other jobs. They're not, they were part-time agents, kind of say, you know what, I'm just going to go inactive for a little while. and
until this gets better.
Wait out this market, you know, until it gets better.
Yeah.
You know, and some of the agents that we had in the office, like, they're investors too.
Yeah.
So it really made sense for them to get their license. But in this kind of volatile market, just the uncertainty, they're like, yeah, I'll just hang it up for a little while and see how things go.
Yeah.
Maybe next year we'll see some changes.
And I think that the economy itself, you know, has been through so much.
The ringer, yeah.
So much that, you know, any career move right now is just not just real estate. I mean, real estate for sure, but you know, there's a lot of changes in people's career paths right now.
I think so too, and just not knowing what next year is going to bring.
Yep.
Man, when I get on TikTok, I'm like, I don't know if I have like the doom and gloom, the prophecies, like I don't know where it comes from, but I'm scrolling through and the market's gonna crash, and all these crazy people are talking about crazy things. I'm like, can I just
I heard one the other day. All these storms is the sign of the end. It's the end of times.
Yeah.
All these crazy, you know, you got ice storms up north and you got hurricanes down south all at the same time.
Look, and if you go down the rabbit hole, you'll really start to put the pieces together. I can't go down the rabbit hole. I just want to get back on like puppy TikTok. That's all I want. I can't take the doom and gloom. It's like I'll have nightmares.
And you know what's crazy is that agents, you know, have to adjust emotionally, psychologically, physically to all of these changes.
And financially.
Because when you're giving advice, I mean, your sole purpose is to be in the best interest of your client, whether it be a buyer or a seller.
Right.
So you have to stay educated, you have to stay up with all of these, and you have to give the best advice you can. And when everything is so and just not super stable, it makes it very hard to be in the real estate industry as an agent.
And it causes stress. I think at a certain point you have to decide like how much am I willing to give?
Yeah.
Like all the things you just said, and that brings a certain level of stress.
Yeah.
And when you have another job and this isn't your full-time job, I mean, you kind of weigh the pros and cons and make a decision. Yeah. But financially preparing, even as realtors in this kind of market, you cut your budgets. You look at your business budgets, you look at your home budgets, and you have a heart-to-heart with your kids.
Yeah. Like, we're going to less Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, like, can we cook at home?
Right.
But seriously, there's so many factors, and again, like we mentioned last week, the ability to adapt to the changes. I mean, since 2008, the market crashed.
Yep.
There were tons of people who got into the market right before then, and then tons of people who left the market. I got in 2009, and the market was crap. And luckily, my mentor at that time worked with a ton of investors. She was an investor herself. So I pretty much, like, where do you need me to go?
Yeah.
You know, and who do you need me to show houses to? I learned a lot. I saw a lot. But I also saw the market creep back up year after year after year, all the way up to 2019. I mean, I felt like 2019 was a great market. I feel like we were doing well. 2020, of course, amazing. And 21, but now I feel like we're back to maybe 2017. A 2017 type market.
See, and I got in the business in 2016, so 2017 was just a nightmare for me.
Well, you were new.
I was so new, and everybody knows if you're a realtor, you just don't get out there and start making millions. That's just not the way it works. You know, it's very, very slow to build your clientele, to build your rapport, to build your experiences, to, you know, all of that. So it's not, you know, I think I read something at one point that said on average, realtors don't really start having successful years until year 4 or 5. Anyway, but so 2016 is when I got into the market, and 2019 is when I came here, or the end of 2018. 2019, I had a really great year.
You had a good year.
Yeah, I had a really great year. And then, of course, I've had good years since because of because of COVID and the drop in the interest rates. And I just happened to have gotten into the industry right before all of that happened. So this year has definitely been probably the slowest year I've had since I've really founded my business.
Yeah.
But you roll with it. You have to. Most people that get into a business that's a self-employment, there's ups and there's downs. There's goods and there's bads, and you either stick it out or you don't.
Yeah, and that's like you said, that's any business. I mean, you have a great client base. You have a very strong investor base, which is a good thing. Which kind of helps get through these dips. Yeah. I mean, back in 2009, she had a great investor base. I mean, and then investors were scooping up properties like crazy. I feel like we're starting to see more foreclosures now. Oh, yeah. And the investors are still picking up properties. I mean, a couple of my sales this year have been investors. I mean, I've gotten in with some foreclosure properties, some listings.
And I think we're going to see more and more foreclosures.
Oh, yeah.
Just because of the changes since 2020, like I said.
Well, there was the moratorium on foreclosing on properties.
Yep.
A lot of people deferred their mortgages.
Yep. There was a lot of assistance with that, even with renters.
With renters, with investors.
Yeah.
And then now with the spike in insurances, especially here, the spike in insurances are forcing people to either have to sell or walk away.
Yep.
So I think that's probably the biggest changes we're seeing now is a flip in the market, more foreclosures. I mean, nothing like 2008, obviously, but definitely more hitting the market. I mean, just the asset company that I'm working with currently, I mean, we've got a few coming. Yeah. And they're somewhat local. Yeah. So it's happening. And then we still have people who haven't repaired since Ida. I mean, unfortunately, people are still fighting with insurance companies over that. So it's such a combination of things. And then, of course, there's differences across the United States. My niece is in the Austin market. They seem to be doing pretty well. Yeah? Yeah. So looks like she's been staying busy over there, and the prices are high there. Yeah. So it's different everywhere. I mean, real estate is local. Yeah. I mean,
what do you feel like the next year is going to look like?
I think it's going to be another year of investors. Yeah. Because we're definitely going to see the foreclosures coming.
I agree.
There's opportunity there. Hopefully we see some of those properties, instead of being held, maybe flipped, trying to encourage the first-time home buyer market and maybe even the people looking to get out of their first home into a second. So if we had some more properties hit the market in those mid price ranges, I think will help move the market. I think we're going to see some more sellers. Yeah. But like we're seeing now, things are kind of sitting.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that they're sitting because they need a certain dollar.
Right.
To get out of them.
Oh, well, then there's that.
I mean, sellers are going to start to take a loss.
Yeah. I think, well, the ones who have purchased 2020 and now. Yes. Yeah, those that are having to sell. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They're going to see some losses there. Yeah. For sure. And then if you bought prior to, you probably have some equity built up.
For sure.
But then the buyer pool is smaller. So I think that's what we're seeing. Yeah. And then, of course,
I think we're definitely, like you said, I think we definitely will see a lot of investors, a lot of foreclosures over the next probably 12 months or so. But I think the market is on its way up.
I think so. I mean, we still have a shortage of homes.
Yes.
There's still not enough homes for every person.
For sure.
So the prices, while they have fluctuated some, are going to trend upwards.
I agree.
So I do think it's going to be okay. I think we just stick it out like we always do, adapt to the changes, share what we can, share information, make sure that
Insights.
Our clients are, they understand the process so they feel comfortable buying or selling.
For sure. That's where you become adaptable as realtors. You have to be able to give the best information that you could possibly give for your clients. And if you're not adaptable to what's going on in the market, you can't pretend. You can't be an agent and just pretend like things aren't happening.
Right.
You can't pretend that it's okay to pay, the same price that somebody paid in 2020 and pay these interest rates and pay these insurances. Yeah. You can't pretend, and you can't make clients believe that that's okay.
Oh gosh.
Because it's not. It's not okay. You have to look at their long terms based on the information you provided. I actually had a client yesterday, and the feedback that I gave them on the house that we looked at was that I felt like it was slightly overpriced. And I was very honest with them. I said, I know what your goal is for this house, and your goal is to live in this and live happily ever after. But when you're buying real estate, I think everybody should truly look at their transaction like it is a business transaction.
Yes.
It should be an equitable transaction.
A smart decision.
A smart decision. So, I told her, while I know your goal is to live in here and be totally fine for the rest of your life, if you put $60,000 to $80,000 into this house, which is probably about what it needed. The bathrooms needed to be updated. The kitchen needed to be updated. It really needed a master suite needed to be created. Mm-hmm. So if you do those things, $60,000 to $80,000, you're not going to turn around and resell this house for $400,000, which is where it would have been at if she was interested in paying what it was listed for. Gotcha. So you have to talk about those things. Yeah. You have to, talk about what it looks like down the road, not just what it looks like right now.
Right. Are you? That's what I tell my new buyers. Are you going to be comfortable writing this check month after month after month?
Yeah.
And be careful about the money that you put into it, kind of like you mentioned.
Yeah.
And always be prepared for the possibility of having to sell.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
Yeah.
Don't get in over your head. I think those are all important things to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay with the increases in insurance? Oh man, the full risk premium.
Oh my gosh.
We have to let everyone know who's buying a house. Hey, your flood insurance is $900 now.
But your full risk is $4,500.
Yes, but your full risk is close to $5,000.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that?
Right.
Because if so, let's plan that out. Let's make sure that your monthly mortgage payment is okay if that were the case next year.
Yep.
So many factors, and I guess knowing what you're doing, being an educated agent, letting your clients know of all of these.
And I think if the agent has the mindset of exactly what has happened from 2020 to 2024, that things are going to change, they're going to go up, they're going to go down, they're going to go up, they're going to go down, and their main focus is, what's best for that client for the future and for the past, whatever the case may be. I think if the agents stay focused on that and not on closing the sale because it's such a slow market and they're just pushing to get a sale.
Yeah, don't do that.
I think that's going to go a long way.
No, you're right, for sure. Never. The client is more important than the sale, always.
Yep.
That is the goal. And the houses sell themselves.
They do.
You can't push a house on someone that they don't want.
No.
The house will sell itself.
Yeah.
That was some good stuff. I feel like we could talk about this forever. We could just keep going, story after story.
Right.
But we're good timing on this, so I think we'll call it. And we'll be back next week again, Monday at 10 a.m. You can check our Facebook pages right now, is where the links are being shared to the podcast. We're working on the directories in the big, Spotify, Apple, things like that. We'll get there. But next week, same time, and we'll have a new topic to talk about. This is the Move Worthy podcast with myself, Jenny Lendle.
And Lauren Jones.
And together we have the experience to move you forward.